From the press box atop Dolphin Soccer Park on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents NCAA Division II men's soccer coverage. Today's matchup, the second of our men's and women's soccer doubleheader, features the Purple Knights of the University of Bridgeport taking on the College of Staten Island Dolphins. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Foreman bringing you all the action live during today's game, and we do apologize for joining you a bit late on the air, as we did have our senior day presentation take place on the field ahead of today's 2 p.m. kickoff. However, some technical issues did not allow us to get on the air ahead of that presentation, so we do apologize for that. Tariq Eastman, Brenny Salas, and Brian Navarro being recognized for the College of Staten Island ahead of today's matchup. And I do believe that I have the starting lineups in the room next door, so I'll have to run over and get those ahead of the start of today's match, as I wanted to bring the starting lineups to you. We'll see if I have the starters on the live stats, and we do. So the starters for the College of Staten Island are as follows. In goal will be number 1, Omer Hamsasebi. The rest of the Dolphin starters: number 11, Nicholas Kashenko; number 12, Javier Campos; number 13, Brandon Figueroa; number 17, Leandro Angulo; number 2, Brenny Salas; number 23, Bryant Navarro; number 3, Dennis Codicelli; number 5, Daniel Angulo; number 7, Nilton Gonzalez; and number 8, Brian Carolou. And I will step aside for just a moment as I get the starting lineups that I have printed out next door for the visiting University of Bridgeport. So in just a few moments, I'll be back with the starters for the visiting team. And we're back here on the ECC Network, the College of Staten Island about to take on the University of Bridgeport. And I had to travel into the room next door to get you the starting lineups for both teams. I did bring you the starting lineup for CSI, which I had on our live stats, and I do have the starting lineup for the University of Bridgeport as well. In numerical order for the Purple Knights, in goal will be number 1, Clement Annette. The rest of the Purple Knights starters in numerical order: number 3, Tom Godden; number 5, Luis Rubio; number 6, Ozar Rezo; number 7, Chigozie Okori; number 11, Haynes Nilsson; number 14, Odron Casey; number 16, Kevin Martinez; number 19, Felipe Ospina; number 21, Jose Uresti; and number 22, Jesse Clark. Head coach of the Purple Knights is Peter Denit, and the head coach of the College of Staten Island is John Tardy. The associate head coach for CSI is Alex Cuba, and for associate head coach Cuba, it is not the first time he has been on the sidelines today. He was the acting head coach of the women's soccer team, as I believe head coach Brendan Guzman for women's soccer had an important wedding to attend this weekend. So men's soccer associate head coach Cuba patrolling the sidelines for the women during our early game. Dolphins fell in that matchup by a score of 4-0. And for men's soccer, they're looking to snap a winless skid that has now extended 7 matches, and this will be their final chance to do so in their last match of the 2021 season. Men's soccer comes into today's match with a record of 3-11-2. Within the East Coast Conference, they have played to a 1-6-1 mark on the 2021 season. For the University of Bridgeport, they come in with a record of 4-6-5, 4-2-2 in East Coast Conference play. And Nicholas Kashenko will kick things off in just a few moments from Dolphin Soccer Park, and we are underway with CSI possessing the ball first. There you see Dolphins moving it along the back line. Both teams fighting for possession as the Dolphins commit an early turnover, but Leandro Angulo is able to clear it away. That one sent into the box by the Purple Knights, and getting ahead on it was one of their forwards. Tough to read the numbers from up here, as it looks like their numbers might be black with very thin white trim, so it is tough to see the numbers on the front of those Purple Knight uniforms. Much easier on the reverse side as the Dolphins look to move forward through the midfield, and Navarro has it. He sends one towards Angulo. Navarro receives it right back from Angulo, and the Dolphins senior hoping to make this senior day one to remember with a goal here as Brenny Salas gets his first touch, and it's right back with Navarro. Navarro barely able to keep it in along the near sideline. He gets it back to Codicelli, who is dispossessed, and a good play there by Nilsson defensively as Angulo cuts it off in the midfield. Bridgeport will throw in just across the midfield stripe. Kevin Martinez to take the throw, and he sends it back toward the midfield circle. Purple Knights have it along the far sideline. That was Campos coming in to challenge. Ball now with Purple Knights as that was Ospina in the midfield, and the Dolphins force the turnover before Ospina clears it over the near sideline. CSI to throw. It's Dennis Codicelli. That's Kashenko battling for it along the near sideline, and the whistle does blow, so the Dolphins earn a free kick right on the edge of the attacking third along the near sideline, and Brandon Figueroa lines up over the ball. Figueroa, a left-footed kicker. Several Dolphins aligned with that far post. And Figueroa's free kick is sent right towards the far post, and a whistle blows. And we will have to wait for this free kick as the head official is telling the two teams to get the ball back with Clement Annette, who then quickly sends it over to Luis Rubio and receives it right back. Ball now along the far sideline. I believe that was Godin who sent it out across midfield. Two teams battle for possession in the midfield as that's chipped up in the air down toward the corner. Codicelli gives chase and will clear it away straight into the Purple Knights bench. Kevin Martinez to throw. He finds Ospina. Martinez gets it back, and he was looking for Okori on that pass. Here comes Casey in the corner, working along the touchline, just able to keep it in. And Campos will send it over the far sideline. That one's still rolling out towards midfield. I think it might still be in play. And they will say no, as it went out right on the edge of the attacking third. This is Okori. And Rubio chased down by Kashenko, who goes down. And Kashenko wanted a whistle, did not get it. Ball with Annette right on the edge of the box, and he will send it up toward the far sideline for Godin. Godin into the midfield circle as Figueroa was shouldered down by Ospina. And now the Purple Knights looking to move across midfield, but CSI able to take possession back as Daniel Angulo has Kashenko, but the flag is up for offsides. Kashenko, the Dolphins' goal scorer in their last match. He now has 2 on the season and finds himself at the forward position today. He's played a lot of defense throughout the season, but Dolphins looking to utilize his size and speed up front on the attack. Long ball sent up toward the far sideline from Godin. It was on target, and down goes Jesse Clark just outside the box, so it will be a free kick for Bridgeport in a very dangerous spot. Dolphins bench telling the players out on the pitch to mark up early and not allow any free runners toward the net. See if the Purple Knights look to send this one into the box or play it short. We've seen a lot of these free kicks from this spot played short so that the receiving player off that pass can then cross it in themselves. 2 players lined up over the ball. One of them is Ospina. I believe the other is Clark. And it's sent into the box, deflected, and sent out of play. I think that was Rezo who got a toe on it. Make that Nilsson. It was Nilsson who sent it over the touchline for a Dolphins goal kick. Hamza Sebi to take the goal kick. He sends it out across midfield off a pair of Purple Knights, and now Codicelli sends it up in the air. And that is Angulo with an emphatic clearance to the back line of Bridgeport. Ball now with the Bridgeport keeper, Annette, and he will roll it up ahead to Godin. Godin to Okori. Dolphins continuing to press here, not giving away anything easy. As they look to force a turnover in the midfield, Okori managing to avoid several tackle attempts, and he gets rid of it. Nicely done in the midfield by Okori as the ball is back with Annette. Annette over to Rubio. This is Martinez sending it back across to Godin. Godin to Rezo. And the ball now moving up the far sideline. That pass intended for Okori is cleared away by Gonzalez. Ball with Bridgeport in the midfield as they look for somewhere to go with it. The Dolphins cutting off the passing lanes well, and that will force the long ball as Ospina gives chase against Campos. And Campos will let it roll over the touchline. Dolphins throw taken quickly, and it will be a Bridgeport throw. Another throw in taken quickly into the midfield. Dolphins continuing to press. Angulo and Navarro slowly moving forward, communicating with one another as they do so. They're coming after Martinez, who sends it back to Rubio. Rubio for Rezo. And a good ball from Rezo. Could be trouble, and Angulo got a foot on it, but that wasn't enough as the shot is over the outstretched arm of Hamza Sebi and in. Hans Nilsson with the first goal of the match, and the University of Bridgeport has taken an early 1-0 lead. A great pass from the midfield to set up Nilsson in front. And that ball pinballed around near the top of the box. Angulo did get a foot on it for Staten Island, but that wasn't enough to keep it away from Nilsson. And Nilsson's shot beat Hamza Sebi high as Omer came out of goal several steps there to try and meet that ball at the point of the shot, and his best effort wasn't enough as the Dolphins trail by a goal early. Dolphins have played from behind quite often here at home this season, but that has not deterred this team. We have seen them get even from down a single goal on more than one occasion already, though I'm not sure they have been down by a goal this early in a match yet. We once again saw this team play an overtime game earlier in the week on Thursday. That was a double overtime matchup with Caldwell University, where the Dolphins lost on a golden goal with just inside of 3 minutes to go in the second overtime. The Dolphins at home this year, 1-4-2. And we have seen quite a bit of overtime soccer. 4 of the Dolphins' 7 home matches have gone into overtime. 2 of those ended in a tie. 1 ended with a victory, and then on Thursday, they suffered the defeat against the Cougars. Bridgeport now has it right along the midfield stripe. That's Rezo up ahead, and too long as it winds up in the arms of Hamza Sebi. So the goal officially is scored by Hans Nilsson. I will pull up the goal tally for Nilsson in just a moment. No assist on the goal as that one was knocked around in front between several different players. Dolphins once again looking to press, and you have to wonder if maybe that Dolphins press is a reason why that passing lane was open. CSI has been cutting off the short to intermediate passes in the midfield, and that long ball paying off for the Purple Knights. That was a great ball right down the seam of that Dolphins defense. Once again, it rolls back to a net in goal. And he will let Kishenko get within a couple of steps before picking it up. So for the goal scorer, Nilsson, that goal is number 4 for him on the season. He now trails the Bridgeport leader in goals, Jesse Clark, by just a single score. Clark leading this Bridgeport squad with 5 goals on the season, 11 total points, also good for first. Dolphins trying to keep the ball in the Bridgeport zone, and one clearance after another by the Purple Knights, making that a difficult task. For Bridgeport overall on the season, they've found the back of the net 20 times. Opponents have scored 26 times against them. Salas will send it over to Codicelli. That last goal makes it 21 as Angulo has space, and his shot is high. Goal kick upcoming for the Purple Knights. Just under 33 minutes to go in the first half. Goals for CSI on the season, 11. The opposition has scored against CSI 29 times, so not a great goal differential for CSI. Certainly not what we're accustomed to seeing from this team, especially coming off of a double-digit win season once again in 2019. Here comes Okori. Okori has space, and he finds Nilsson. Nilsson with a cross to the far post, and that ball is way too long, but it will be chased down in the corner. This is Rezo working against Karalu. Rezo tried to cross it again, and that is deflected over the touchline. First corner kick of the game belongs to the Purple Knights at the 31:45 mark in the first half. Impossible to read the number on the front of that kit from back here, so corner kick taker sends it into the center of the box. It's knocked up in the air, and Angulo looks to clear it away, but didn't get a lot on it, and that one's rolling back in toward the box. And firing a shot was Jesse Clark, or at least it appeared to be a shot. It lands and comes to rest in the box before being cleared away by Codicelli. So Clark was the corner kick taker on that last attempt. And the Dolphins will throw in along the near sideline, or make that the Purple Knights throwing in. As Nilsson, again moving in, he beats several challenges. He has very little space to work with as he sends it back to Uresti, who fires the shot, and it is saved by Hamzazebi. Angulo now with possession for Staten Island. He sends it over to Figueroa. Figueroa for Campos. And over to Karalu. Back to Gonzalez. And up to Angulo. Sent the long way by Campos. And Annette allowed it to roll deep enough where he could use the hands. As the Purple Knights now head in the other direction. Ball in the midfield with Bridgeport. Another long ball for Espina is headed away by Gonzalez. This is Campos. Angulo off the deflection has it. and sends it near sideline to Cotticelli. Good move by Cotticelli to avoid one challenge. Found Kushenko. Ball back on the foot of Angulo, and now with Campos. Campos up to Salas along the far side, and he can't keep it in. As we are trying to get some ball running duties sorted out. Lack of communication here within the department as they try and get this sorted out right over my shoulder. The action continues with the Purple Knights possessing it. And the Dolphins come up with a big interception on that pass before sending it back into the midfield where Gonzalez is waiting. A Purple Knight is down and the clock is stopped at 28:46. That is Espina who is down. So Felipe Espina down on the pitch right now, and he is one of the two Bridgeport captains currently in the game. The other being Tom Godden. Espina, a graduate student, and Godden is a senior. Espina is back to his feet. No assistance from the trainer necessary. The whistle blew to stop play with the Dolphins last possessing, and Angulo sends it straight over the touchline. .28.5 minutes to go in half number one. Dolphins deficit is a single goal. It was Hans Nilsson who found the back of the net, and the Dolphins now looking for an equalizer. Cross in front, on target, and it is headed wide by Navarro. What a connection that would have been on senior day, as that was Salas who sent the cross in towards the far post, and Navarro got ahead on it, but sent it just wide. Not sure I could find a much more fitting goal-scoring combination on this day if Navarro had been able to connect. Both Navarro and Salas have been active early, and for Brenny, his minutes this season, coming off of a long rehab from a broken femur, have been very limited, and he has been impactful in a good way so far. Free kick awarded to the Dolphins, right on the edge of the attacking third. Angulo to take it. Once again, most Dolphins aligned with the far post. Angulo's free kick is sent toward the top of the box. Two Dolphins getting a foot on it. Those were Carolou and Navarro, and it's cleared away by the Purple Knights. Here comes Okori. Okori across midfield, and his ball for Espina, far too strong. Throw in for the Dolphins to be taken by Dennis Cotticelli. And he is looking for somewhere to go with it. Throws long towards Kushenko as that's headed straight up in the air. This one rolling back toward the touchline, and Cotticelli will let it roll over. Another throw from Cotticelli, again headed up in the air by the Purple Knights. It's Rezo with the ball. Back with Godden. Godden works it out toward the far sideline. Dolphins trying to win it back in the midfield. They do. On the tackle by Campos. Here comes Figueroa. And that ball for Cotticelli finds its target. But Cotticelli turns it over. And here come the Purple Knights once again, as that was knocked away by the Dolphins for another Bridgeport throw. Martinez throws for Espina. This is Rezo. And Angulo trying to clear, sends it into the midfield. It's rolling onto the back line of the Purple Knights, and they will send it back to their keeper, Annette. Annette to Godin. And back to Annette again. Nicholas Kushenko getting a good workout, chasing the ball around Purple Knights zone. And we have a player down on the opposite end of the pitch. Didn't see the injury occur, but it is a Purple Knight who is down, and I believe that is Azar Rezo. The clock was stopped at 25:15 as they will check on Rezo. Looks to be a right leg issue as the trainer works on him. Stats up until this point in the match with a break in the action. Shots favoring the Purple Knights, 2-0. Or make that 2-2 on shots. Shots on goal, 2-0 in favor of the Purple Knights. The only corner of the match belongs to Bridgeport. The lone offsides call has gone against Staten Island. The only save of the match was made by Omer Hamzasebi. So that was Rezo who was down. He will walk off under his own power. Joining him along the near sideline is Luis Rubio, and he has a nasty cut on his right knee. So they will attend to that as well and try and get him patched up before he can get out on the pitch. Looks like they're going to wait for Rubio before the action resumes as they get a gauze pad over that. And the whistle blows, so they are not going to wait as Rezo is back in the game. Rubio is still being attended to along the near sideline, so unless I missed a substitution right now, the Dolphins have a brief one-player advantage. Free kick awarded to Staten Island here as Nilton Gonzalez stands over the ball right along the midfield stripe. And he will send it toward the near sideline. Codicelli can't keep it in. Throw-in upcoming for Bridgeport at 24:30 to go in the first half. Throw once again taken by Martinez long. And Angulo clears it up in the air. Karalu gets a head on it. But the Purple Knights take possession in the midfield. Karalu still pursuing the play. Now Kushenko chasing Godin. And Godin sends it long, but Gonzalez was in position. This is Angulo. Angulo looking for Salas. A good ball for Salas. He has some space in the corner, and he tried to play it in front to Kushenko, but it's knocked away. Throw-in for the Dolphins deep in the attacking third. And that throw-in not in the vicinity of any CSI player. But the Purple Knights do turn it over right away. And this is Karalu for Campos. Campos tried to play it into the box. Kushenko the nearest Dolphin. Karalu also in the area. This is Gonzalez. Gonzalez for Campos. Now Figueroa trying to work through a pair of markers and could not. He turns it over, but Angulo is waiting in the midfield. Salas is on sides. Can he keep it in play? He can, but not from crossing the touchline formed by the goal line, as a good effort there by Salas to chase it down, kept it from traveling over the far sideline, but could not keep it from crossing the boundary at the opposite end of the pitch. Goal kick for Purple Knights taken short, but once again, as has been the case all game, Godin plays it up ahead long. This is Angulo sending it back to Campos. Now Gonzalez. Gonzalez over to Leandro Angulo. Angulo up to Codicelli. Headed forward. Here comes Daniel Angulo and Kushenko. Forced to clear it is Bridgeport, and the Dolphins will throw in quickly. Crossed by Cotticelli, headed away. And that one is kept in by Ospina. Good play there by Ospina. And that will earn his team a throw as the Dolphins ultimately cleared it over the near sideline. Throw along the near side, knocked away by Navarro. Martinez will try again. Martinez, long throw. This is Uresti working against Angulo. And I believe Angulo was whistled for the foul, so it's going to be a free kick for the Purple Knights along the near sideline, deep in the attacking third. Ospina lined up over the ball to attempt the free kick. Several Purple Knights lined up right over the dot in the center of the box as well as near the far post. Here comes the free kick from Ospina. Sent into the center of the box, headed away by the Dolphins, and that one will roll harmlessly out toward midfield. But it's sent back toward goal, and there were several Purple Knights waiting at the top of the box for that ball. And it's headed over the crossbar by Nilsson. That's Gonzalez sending it up along the far sideline. Off a deflection, the Dolphins do come away with possession. This is Angulo. Angulo, long ball for Kishenko, and it's too long as it will roll right back off the chest of Annette. And he will continue to allow Nicholas Kishenko to run quite a bit after it before picking it up off the turf. And Keralou took a shot to the face as he attempted the tackle. And a yellow card has been shown on the play. The yellow card issued to Azar Rezo. And the Bridgeport bench can't believe it. I understand why they're upset, but Keralou with a legal tackle went low on the sliding tackle attempt, and he was inadvertently kneed in the face. Now, you can't officiate whether or not a shot was intentional. The tackle by Keralou certainly was clean, but it looked like he took a knee to the face. Now, the trainer appears to be working on his leg, so we'll see what comes of this, as Keralou is the personification of wounded warriors so far this season. He has been playing through all sorts of injuries for CSI, but continues to battle and play physically out there on the pitch. And it looks like he is having some trouble putting weight on his left leg. So Keralou will come out of the game with what appears to be a left leg injury, and he is not putting any weight on it at all. And now he's going to be helped off without putting weight on either leg. So that is not a sight you want to see if you're a supporter of the CSI team or a fan of the game. You never want to see a player going down injured, but for Keralou, unable to put weight on either leg as he exits the pitch. And he will take a seat on the trainer's table as they will check on him while the action resumes. It is a free kick for the Dolphins to be taken by Leandro Angulo. And a bit of a deke there by Angulo as he directs traffic, still waiting. And his free kick is sent towards Kishenko. It's shouldered away. Now, was it by Kishenko or a Purple Knight? It was Kishenko who got the last touch on it. And it will be a goal kick for Bridgeport. Inside of 20 minutes to go in this first half, Dolphins trail 1-0. CSI has been in this spot before. Not an unfamiliar position, and in many cases they have found themselves back even or with the lead. So we have another foul call along the near sideline. And it is going to be a free kick for the Purple Knights. So the Dolphins continue to commit fouls in their own zone, and that is a dangerous habit for CSI, especially trailing by a goal already. Rezo to attempt the free kick taken toward Hamza Sebi, and a bit of a shoulder block there by the Dolphins goalkeeper as he looked to protect himself from a collision. And Hamza Sebi sends it out toward midfield, a line drive kick. And Salas able to get a foot on it. That one rolling towards Navarro, and Navarro coughs it up right to Azori, and I believe the call was handball against Navarro. As Navarro, trying to break his fall, placed his hand directly on top of the ball. That one sent into the box off the free kick, and Nilsson could not get it in front as that one was wide of the frame. Goal kick for the Dolphins. 17:36 on the clock. Header by Kishenko rolls onto the foot of Martinez. It's cleared away, and that's a foul against Nilton Gonzalez and the Dolphins, no doubt about it. Free kick upcoming once again for the Purple Knights. And dangerous play in front as the Dolphins fortunately able to clear it over the touchline. Gonzalez in the area, able to keep Uresti off the ball just long enough to prevent the second goal. Salas trying to work his way through traffic. He does get rid of it for Campos, but Campos turned it over on that unorthodox pass. And now Annette will send it into the midfield. Dolphins initially had it off a deflection, but it's back with the keeper Annette and into the midfield once again. And that's a good ball on target, but Gonzalez beats Uresti to it and clears it over the sideline. A pair of substitutions coming on for the Purple Knights. David Torres and John Lewis checking into the game. Torres and Lewis on. Uresti and Clark are heading off. I didn't catch the Dolphins substitution. I believe it was Gonzaga for Keralou after Brian left with an apparent injury to his leg. Meanwhile, Purple Knights have earned another corner kick. Their second of the match, taken short. This is Ospina through the legs of Figueroa. Left-footed cross on target and headed away. Nifty dribbling there by Ospina. He put it straight through the 5-hole against Figueroa to set up a left-footed cross that was right on target. And the Dolphins were able to head it away. And we have a collision over the ball as Angulo and Rezo both go down, and each of them holding the shin. Whistle blew, and both players making contact with one another in the same area. I'm not sure who was going to get the foul call there, as the whistle did blow. Ball may have rolled over the touchline. So we'll see if it's a goal kick or a free kick. And it looks like it's going to be a foul against the Purple Knights. Free kick for the Dolphins to be taken by Leandro Angulo. Angulo taking a free kick from deep in the corner. and he sends it across midfield. Kashenko got a foot on it. This is Gonzaga. Gonzaga up to Salas. He gives way to Campos. Campos along the far sideline. Sends it back to Figueroa. Up to Salas, who tried to head it into the box. Kashenko got a foot on it. Now Salas, who has his shot blocked. Gonzaga draws the whistle as that shot was saved, but no shot officially as Gonzaga drew the foul. It was Angulo with the attempt on the shot right after the whistle, but it is going to be a free kick for the Dolphins just outside of the semicircle at the top of the box. This could very well turn out to be CSI's best scoring chance so far as the clock continues to run, and we hit the 13-minute mark with 13 minutes to play in the first half. It appears as if Daniel Angulo is going to take the free kick. We have seen him attempt shots from this position before. A 4-man wall, make it a 5-man wall to the left of the dot for the Purple Knights. Angulo's shot is just over the crossbar. A good effort on the free kick by Daniel Angulo, but that shot is just high as the Purple Knights committed 5 players to the wall there on that Dolphin set piece. Goal kick upcoming from Annette, and he plays it short over to Godin. Godin looking for the long ball. There it is. And giving chase is Lewis. Gonzalez got a foot on it, but Espina tried to get it to Nilsson and could not. Sezebi rolls it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez back to his keeper, facing a lot of pressure from Lewis. And now Corey moving up to exert pressure. Nilsson joining the press. And the Purple Knights are all over CSI here as the Dolphins were whistled for the foul. John Tardy can't believe it, wasn't happy with the call. But it is going to be a free kick for Bridgeport once again, as they have been the beneficiaries of most of the whistles so far. Rezo's free kick taken wide of the far post, and the Purple Knights were able to keep it in, but that's all they could do with it. As even that seemed like a tough ask, but now another chance on the attack for Bridgeport, and this shot was blocked and ends up wide. So on the deflected shot, Bridgeport will earn their 3rd corner kick of the match as the clock winds down inside of 11 minutes to play in the first half. Lining up to attempt the corner kick is Espina. And the corner is sent near post, headed away by Figueroa. Salas turns with it and has Angulo on the pass. Angulo looking to avoid the tackle, and down he goes as Angulo grabs the right ankle. Angulo slow to get up, and the Dolphins maintain possession in the midfield. Angulo's shoe is untied as well, still favoring the right ankle, but he is to his feet. It's Cotticelli with possession. Now Figueroa and Salas along the near sideline. Salas for Navarro. Back to Figueroa. Now Salas again. Salas to Navarro. Bryant surrounded, and he had nowhere to go as the ball deflects off of his leg and over the touchline. Throw for the Purple Knights inside of 10 minutes to go in the first half. It's headed by Gonzaga as the head official needs to bail out of the way. And along the far sideline, that's Casey. Casey into the midfield. He's looking for Lewis. And once again, the Dolphins are there to knock it away. Figueroa battling Rezo in the midfield, and Ospina comes away with it. That ball for Lewis. Angulo giving chase, and Angulo touched it, but it stays in play. That's a huge break for the Dolphins right there, as Angulo did get a foot on it, but CSI able to keep it from traveling over the touchline. Purple Knights maintain possession. This is Nilsson. Nilsson shot, and that rolls wide, but once again, the Dolphins got a piece of the ball, and it will be a corner kick for Bridgeport. Purple Knights continuing to put pressure on the Dolphins defensively, in addition to the attacking pressure that they've had over these last few minutes. Dolphins haven't had a prolonged possession across midfield in quite some time. Their last opportunity came on the Angulo free kick. Now the corner on its way. Far post, and it is sent into the back of the net. Hamza Sebi never had a chance. I'm not sure he ever saw it. The ball looked to travel behind him. And the Dolphins now face a 2-goal deficit. It was nearly impossible to tell who it was that headed that ball in, as we'll have to get a look at the replay and the official scoring. There were several bodies around that ball, but unfortunately for CSI, nobody between that ball and the net, as Hamza Sebi simply never saw it. And the goal officially credited to Ozar Rezo. I will double-check the replay to make sure that is correct, but Rezo picks up the second goal of the match for Bridgeport, and if that scoring stands, it would be his first goal of the season to go along with 3 assists. So, as of right now, officially, Ozar Rezo has found the back of the net for the first time this year, and the Dolphins now face a 2-goal deficit. Right now, the Purple Knights not looking to do too much with it. This is Lewis over to Rezo, and Rezo sends it back to Rubio, and now this is Martinez chasing it, but Angulo heads it over the near sideline. Roberto Echenique will check in for the Purple Knights. Shane Siegel and Brendan McGuire will check in for the Dolphins. 3 substitutions coming on following that last stoppage. And in just a moment, I will pull up the replay to confirm that Ozar Rezo was the goal scorer for Bridgeport. We'll have to scrub back a little bit, but want to make sure we get that right, as this is Martinez sending it back to Casey. Angulo with the pressure, and Casey sends it up towards a man along the far sideline, headed away by Campos. That ball sent in the direction of Kishenko, and I'm not sure it's worth conceding a corner right there if you're the Purple Knights, as they look to play the ball straight up into the air, but instead they send it over the touchline for a Dolphins corner. I can't imagine that was intentional, as Nicholas Kishenko was the only Dolphin in the area. But as it stands, corner kick taken by Angulo, and it is punched up into the air by a net, and it will roll over the touchline once again for another Dolphins corner. That might have to go down as a shot on goal, as I'm not sure that doesn't find its way in if it's not punched away. Corner kick from the opposite side now to be taken by Figueroa. He sends it a long way toward the far post, headed on goal, and it is saved by Annette. Long ball once again rolling across midfield, And Hamza Sebi will send it back across midfield, where the two teams now fighting over possession. Down goes Gonzaga, and the ball winds up on the foot of Brendan McGuire. McGuire lost it, and it looked like McGuire bumped knees with one of the Purple Knights, and it was Kevin Martinez. John Tardy is fuming right now, and I think he has a case here, as that looked like incidental contact. The two players both bumping knees, and Coach Tardy saying that was nothing compared to what happened on the other end. I think he's right about that. If the Angulo takedown was a play on, I think that's also a play on. But two different plays, as the Angulo play was on a tackle attempt that took Angulo down. That one, incidental contact. Either way, it's a free kick for the Purple Knights. The clock winding down towards 4 minutes to play in the first half, with the Dolphins trailing by a pair. That one sent long once again. And off of a couple of deflections, the Purple Knights had it for just a moment. But CSI takes possession back, and that ball sent up towards Kashenko. He heads it over to Siegel, but the header a bit off target. And now Bridgeport is moving quickly in the other direction. They turn it over in the midfield. And now the Dolphins looking to move ahead, as Angulo was blatantly shoved down from behind. And the Dolphins take a free kick, but that brief pause in the action allowed Bridgeport to get regrouped. As that cross in front is headed away, Angulo heads it back toward the box, knocked up in the air by the Purple Knights and onto the foot of Angulo. This is Nilsson. Nilsson looking for Lewis. He's chasing it along the near side, and it is cleared by Angulo. Throw-in belongs to Bridgeport here, as Codicelli didn't appear to think so. He had the ball along the near side. Throw taken by Martinez and cleared by Codicelli off of that throw. And a whistle blows, and a foul is called against the Dolphins. Daniel Angulo whistled for the foul, and yet another free kick for the Purple Knights here. As I'm getting a look at a replay on the goal right now, and just impossible to tell who put that one in on the replay. Shot off of the free kick, and it was not saved cleanly by Hamza Sebi, but he does bring it in off a short rebound. And upon review, it does appear as if Azar Rezo was correctly credited the goal. So Rezo with the second goal for the Purple Knights, his first of the season. And that gave Bridgeport the lead they hold right now, 2-0, with about a minute and a half to go in the first half. This is Gonzalez. Gonzalez taking his time and sends it up to Codicelli, who has some room, and Codicelli unable to keep that one in. Perhaps one final chance for Bridgeport here to close out the half, as they are taking their time chasing this ball down, and we are down to the final minute of half number one. And it doesn't seem as if Coach Tardy was happy about how long it took for that ball to be tracked down, as a lot of time came off the clock, and the ball is cleared once again by the Dolphins, and more valuable seconds ticking off the clock. We are down to 30 seconds remaining in the first half, and not much urgency being shown by the Purple Knights. That throw taken towards Espina. Espina is chased into the corner, but the Dolphins concede the corner kick. The Purple Knights will send everybody up into the box. They have 10 seconds to make something happen off of this corner. That one sent far post and punched away by Hamza Zebi. He is unhappy about the contact in goal, and he is having a word with Rezo, who may have been punched in the side of the head. But as it stands, that will bring the first half to a close. Our score at the break: the College of Staten Island trails the University of Bridgeport 2-0, and we have some extracurricular activities going on as the two teams leave the field, but that appears to have been broken up. So we will head into the halftime break with the Dolphins trailing by 2. When we come back following the intermission, more NCAA Division II men's soccer coverage, Dolphins and Purple Knights on the ECC Network. And we're back here on the ECC Network, NCAA Division II men's soccer coverage, live from Dolphin Soccer Park on the campus of the College of Staten Island. Second half about to get underway between CSI and the University of Bridgeport. Dolphins trailing 2-0 at the halftime break, and we'll hope to turn things around in the second half as CSI looks to avoid seeing their season come to an end with a loss. And for CSI, if they do not pick up a victory in today's match, they will have finished the 2021 season winless in their final 8 contests. For the Purple Knights, they come into the half with a 2-goal lead and hope to close out a victory to bring their season to a close, moving their conference mark to 5-2-2. Dolphins with an early threat on the cross. It's headed away. Headed twice by the Purple Knights, and they will look to counter. Here comes Bridgeport across midfield. This is Clark into the attacking third. Campos close behind, but a good pass to get rid of it. Espina has a man in the box. Shot is blocked. And that ball rolls over the far sideline. So a big block on that shot attempt by CSI, and it seems as if my visiting roster has blown away. So I'll have to go off of the stats for the names and numbers from here on out. As Gonzaga plays one up ahead towards Shane Siegel. Annette retreating into goal. Siegel down in the corner. Siegel moving toward the touchline, crosses, sent back in front by Angulo, and nobody home for the Dolphins in the center of the box. Two teams now battle for possession in the midfield. This is Espina. Espina over to Clark. Clark working against Campos, moves into the middle of the field, sends one up the pitch to Espina. He's into the box, cross in front, and that is just off target as Nilsson was there waiting along the far post. 2 early chances for the Purple Knights, and one good opportunity for the Dolphins as well at the other end. An exciting start to the second half, and we're not even 2.5 minutes in yet. Ball sent near sideline. Siegel was unable to keep it in. As we have some friends outside who have chimed in on the broadcast, some young fans gathered in the top row as they wanted to ask me if we were on TV, and if you own a TV with a streaming device connected or a smart TV, perhaps, though I'm not sure ECC Network is available on any smart TVs. However, it is certainly available on all mainstream streaming devices, Fire Stick, Roku, Google Chrome, Apple TV, and much more. So you can catch East Coast Conference athletic competition anywhere. Dolphins possess it, and Samuel Gonzaga is shoved down to the pitch. Free kick for Staten Island. Off of the free kick, CSI moves it back across midfield. This is Angulo. Angulo winds up and sends one long toward Figueroa. Casey heads it up in the air, but Daniel Angulo comes down with it. And Angulo goes down to the turf as Corey and Gonzalez meet just shy of midfield. This is McGuire with it. McGuire for Diggs, redirected and saved. Clement Annette with the save on the redirection by Larry Diggs. And Diggs is CSI's leading goal scorer coming in. Came very close to adding one more to his team leading total. Both teams battling in the midfield as Corey goes down, and he looks to be in a lot of pain. He might have gotten spiked, but Dolphins not waiting for him as Siegel crosses in front. And that one travels behind goal. Corey remains down along the midfield stripe and seems to be favoring the shin. He will get some help to his feet from John Lewis. And it will be a Bridgeport goal kick. Purple Knights have it along the far sideline. They send it across midfield. It's headed by Angulo. Now Daniel Angulo, the nearest Dolphin. Figueroa joins the battle for possession. And he grabbed Lewis and is whistled for the foul. And the head official will force that free kick to be taken again as Omer Hamsazebi launching that one across midfield. A long throw from the Dolphins goalkeeper. And the opposing goalkeeper, Clement Annette, will take this free kick. He sends it to the back line of CSI, and Corey and Siegel collide over the ball. Last touched by Corey. And Godin sends that one straight up into the sky. Gonzaga is there for CSI. He's got it, and it is taken away. Nilsson up to Lewis, and Gonzalez shoulders Lewis straight off the ball for CSI. Good defensive play by Nilton Gonzalez as Daniel Angulo was looking for Shane Siegel. That ball way too long. Throw in upcoming for Bridgeport. Casey will throw straight to midfield and headed over the touchline by Campos. Casey will throw again. Another long throw by Casey. Looking for Lewis, who heel kicks it back toward the center of the pitch. Both teams fighting over the ball right now. And Gonzalez with a strong takedown, able to keep possession with CSI. Here come the Dolphins, as that one will roll into the arms of Annette. Annette walking it across his own goal line. You don't see that too often. And Diggs was the closest Dolphin before Annette picked that ball up, but you don't often see a keeper allow the ball to roll right along the chalk that makes up the goal line. And that's headed by Campos, redirected by Siegel, and the ball back with Bridgeport. Sent up into the air. Corey is the closest Purple Knight, and the throw-in belongs to CSI. This is Rezo. Espina Has it deflected away, but it goes right onto the foot of Akori, and that is sent into the box where Hamsazebi gets on top of it. Ospina intercepts, and Gonzaga was able to knock it away. It's cleared by Cotticelli. Rubio there waiting for it. Ball now rolling out of the midfield circle and onto the foot of Casey, who sends it long. Lewis giving chase. Angulo the nearest Dolphin. Angulo shielding Lewis off the ball. He sends it back into the midfield circle. Rezo gets by a couple of challenges. He has Lewis. Lewis dribbles past Campos, who looked like he might have tweaked his ankle. Lewis moving in. Cross attempt blocked by Gonzalez. Campos tries to clear. He cannot. Clark is still there fighting for it. And it travels over the near sideline for a Bridgeport throw. Casey throwing once again. Ospina tried to redirect it with the head, but he missed it. And now Diggs has it for CSI. And down goes Diggs. He was fouled. Daniel Angulo free kick. Taken short right into the midfield circle. That's Cotticelli receiving the pass from Leandro Angulo. And now Cotticelli moving forward into the attacking third. And a good tackle there, but not enough to keep Cotticelli off the ball. He is still fighting. And Cotticelli able to send it off of Martinez. As we will have a Dolphin substitution, Nicholas Kashenko checks back in, replacing Javier Campos. Kashenko for Campos ahead of this Dolphins throw. Off the throw, Cotticelli receives it right back from Figueroa. Now Figueroa has it, being challenged by Rezo along the far sideline. Figueroa, not much space to work with, tried to send it back to the center of the pitch, but Azori is there waiting. Azori has that ball partially deflected onto the foot of Kashenko. Kashenko looking for Figueroa, and he was offsides. The flag was about to go up. Annette to take the goal kick. And instead opts to throw it out toward midfield. Ospina moving forward. That ball partially deflected once again, that time by Gonzaga. Angulo circling it on the way down. He couldn't get control of it. And now the long ball for Clark is sent right into the arms of Hamsazebi. This is Siegel. Siegel avoids one challenge. Gets it back to Kashenko. Now Gonzaga. Gonzaga over to Siegel. Back to Gonzaga. Purple Knights pressing the Dolphins in the midfield. A lot of pressure defensively coming from Bridgeport here. As that ball finds Angulo, he has some space, might look to shoot, and he fires one on goal. It is saved by Annette. Annette has had to make a few saves, but most of them have been routine. Hasn't really been challenged much yet. The Dolphins, following that last attempt, officially have 3 shots on goal. Shots on goal favor Purple Knights 4-3. Diggs looking for Angulo, and Gonzaga is beat to the spot by Nilsson. Here come the Purple Knights, but a good tackle by Gonzalez. Dolphins now have possession in the midfield. This is McGuire. McGuire working up the far sideline, beats his marker, moving into the corner. Sends it in front again, but that ball not strong as Annette once again dives on top of it. Here comes Clark. Some aspiring commentators in the top row of the stands having a conversation with me as I call this one. And the Dolphins looking to get possession back in the midfield. Not to be, as that one is sent towards Nilsson. Here comes Hamsazebi. He punches it away. The net is empty. Nilsson will look to shoot, and we have a whistle. And I believe the Dolphins were just called for a penalty. As I was following the action around Hamza Sebi, I'm not sure if he was the one whistled for the foul or if it occurred away from the Dolphins goalkeeper. The clock is stopped at 31:32. And Hamza Sebi having a word with Jesse Clark ahead of this penalty kick. Kashenko and Azori now exchanging some shoves, and things might be getting a bit out of control here, as now we have several of the Purple Knights around the head official. We are awaiting the penalty kick right now. Things still being sorted out by the head official. It looks like he's directing Azori back to his bench. Azori being heckled by the Dolphins supporters now, and he's getting fired up on his way back to the bench. He's hearing the boo birds now, and I think Azori might have just flashed an obscene gesture at the crowd. I'm not sure if that was him riling up the crowd or perhaps something else. I'll have to double check the video, but things getting a bit more interesting here as we still are awaiting a penalty kick that has the potential to make it a 3-0 game. Now, I'm going to watch this replay, and I'm not sure if the camera was on Azori as he left the pitch. I don't believe it was, so we're not going to see exactly what happened as Azori exited the field. Whistle blows, penalty kick coming from Jesse Clark. Chance to give the Purple Knights a 3-goal lead. Penalty kick on its way, and he beats the diving Hamza Sebi. Omer guessed right, but couldn't make the save, as he did about as good a job as he could have, given the circumstances. And with that penalty kick goal, the Purple Knights are now in front 3-0 with 31-32 remaining in the second half. And I'm going to step aside for just a moment and converse with the room next door about what transpired just a few moments ago. So I'll be right back. So we're back as we have another hard foul, and Nilton Gonzalez has quickly shown the yellow card, and if the officials don't begin to get things under control, this one might get out of hand, as with a 3-goal game right now, all it's going to take is the wrong foul, and you don't know what could transpire beyond that. So we'll see, but right now, the University of Bridgeport firmly in control. Another Purple Knights free kick. This one's sent into the box, and that rolls over the touchline. So Dolphins with a steep hill to climb to get back into this game. And I know this is not a result that many Dolphins fans expected, as that would have been one way to get back at the heckling crowd, as a Corey fired a shot that was saved by Hamza Sebi, but Corey and the crowd were going back and forth as he exited the pitch. I tried to find out exactly what occurred as he went to the sideline, but of course nobody seemed to see it clearly. And the Dolphins now playing from behind 3 will look to move forward on the attack, but Nilsson shutting down Angulo at midfield will now take the ball back toward his own zone. And this is a Corey. Gonzalez charging from behind. And it just looked like Nilton was eager to try another tackle. This is Casey, Lorenzo, Clark, the goal scorer on the penalty kick, working against Kashenko. And that one stays in play as Kashenko is able to come away with it and get it to Gonzalez. Now Gonzaga for McGuire. Ball chipped up in the air. McGuire over to Codicelli. This is Angulo. Angulo has that pass knocked away, but he gets it back from Gonzaga. Ball with Gonzalez. This is Kishenko. Now Figueroa. Figueroa sends it up to the forwards, and Diggs got ahead on it, but that's all. Purple Knights moving forward. And we'll send it long once again. That has been the strategy for this entire match. And so far, so good for the University of Bridgeport. As I mentioned, a team that came in with a season mark of 4-6-5. So they have 5 ties this season. You don't see that much, but just like the women's team in the early match, this match is also the season finale for the Bridgeport men. Right now, it's going well. As knocked down was Clark. He draws another whistle. Both Clark and Azori lined up over the ball. Another in a long line of free kicks for the Purple Knights, as that one is knocked up into the air by Daniel Angulo, and it rolls over the touchline. Throw up coming for the Purple Knights. .27:42 on the clock. Casey sends it into the box. Clark and Gonzalez both there. Chipped up in the air by Clark and headed away by Angulo. Ball in the air again. This is Figueroa and Azori with the shove, and he is shown the yellow card. And we have some more shoving going on. The official had his back turned. Probably didn't see it. And we have some expletives being thrown back and forth now by the two teams. And as I've said time and time again over these last few minutes, the officials have to make sure they stay in control of this match, because in a 3-goal game, this certainly has the potential to get out of hand. Waiting to check in at midfield are Brenny Salas and Brian Navarro, 2 of the 3 Dolphin seniors. Tariq Eastman suffered an injury during the Dolphins' last match, was down along the far sideline where, if you're familiar with Dolphin Soccer Park, there really isn't much room to be down. There's about maybe 2 feet of grass surrounding the pitch, and that's it. And Eastman was seated there for a while as Shane Siegel shoots wide for CSI, but Eastman was down on the far sideline for quite a while and eventually made his way off the pitch, but he is not available today, will not play. Taking a look at the Dolphins bench, I don't see him. I know he's here. I think he's seated on the bench, one of the only Dolphins seated right now. But Tariq will not play today, and there's a costly turnover by the Purple Knights, and the Dolphins do get it back after initially giving it away, and a golden opportunity squandered by CSI right there. They had a great chance to get on the scoreboard and make this a little more interesting as we approach 25:45 remaining in the second half. Salas and Navarro on. McGuire and Figueroa off. Also, Diggs is off, and Peterson is on. So for Jamali Peterson, he is seeing his first action of this match.
Now in the game for the Dolphins, number 25, Jamali Peterson.
And right there, Peterson wins the ball for CSI. Chased down Rubio from behind. CSI looks to move across midfield. Long ball from Angulo up to Siegel. That ball right on target. A good one from Angulo. Siegel trying maybe to wait for his fellow attackers, but he ran out of real estate in the corner. And it will be a goal kick for the Purple Knights. Annette getting prepared for the goal kick. He's going to get a good running start into this one. And he sends a long one out toward midfield. It lands right on the midfield stripe. And both teams now battling for it. It's the Dolphins coming away with possession. Siegel had it taken away from behind. Might get it back. And he fails to do so. Bridgeport will slow things down as we hit 24 minutes to go in the second half. Dolphins need a goal, and they need one soon, and this is certainly not what they're looking for, as Espina is moving forward into the attacking third, looking for Clark, and it's cleared away by Kishenko. Ball back with the Purple Knights in the midfield, and they will take their time. This is Clark. Clark had it knocked away. And his team does maintain possession. Clark wanted a foul. He didn't get it. This is Rezo, who gets it back from Espina, and the Dolphins are able to clear. Peterson was giving chase after that clearance, but nothing going on there. As we have another long ball in the direction of Clark. And Hamza Sebi is able to clear it over the near sideline. Casey will look to throw. And a shove from behind by Navarro sends Lewis tumbling down to the turf. When you see a foul like that and your team is trailing by 3 goals, you have to wonder if that's just an instance of getting a shot in. And I'm not talking about a shot towards goal. Navarro was in no position for the takeaway and simply decided to take Lewis down. Free kick from Clark is sent over to Uresti. Far post header, knocked away by Hamza Sebi twice. And off of the ball knocked away, a shot is fired off of the post. That was Uresti. Hamza Sebi punched it away twice. And off of the second punch, Uresti fired a shot off of the post. This is Peterson looking to move into the box. And Peterson sends one in front. Rubio is all over it. He takes it out of the penalty area and sends it up to Clark. Clark to Uresti. Uresti looking for Rubio. Angulo intercepts, and now Gonzaga has it. Gonzaga over to Codicelli. Codicelli with a lot of space. Sends one toward the far post, and too long for Peterson. Inside of 21 minutes to play in half number 2, our score still 3-0. In the first half, Bridgeport got on the scoreboard first in just the 9th minute, when Hannes Nilsson found the back of the net. Azar Rezo then scored following a corner kick. The Rezo goal was on a header, assisted by Chigozie Okori. And then the third goal came on a controversial call, which led to a Jesse Clark penalty kick. Flag was up there for offsides, and the Dolphins will have a free kick. They take it short, and this is Angulo. Now Gonzalez and Kushenko. Kushenko was looking, I believe, Angulo, and that's sent on goal and saved. Espino with the shot there. Hamza Sebi with the save, and with less than 20 minutes to go, every second is precious for the Dolphins right now. I don't believe the Dolphins have come back from down more than a goal this year. In fact, they've only scored more than a single goal, I believe twice, and those were both victories. Dolphins did trail 1-0 against Bloomfield back on September 22nd. They got even in that game and then won it in double overtime. The only other time the Dolphins have scored more than a single goal was on October 6th at Holy Family, a 2-0 Dolphins win. CSI needs at least 3. Bridgeport looking for number 4 here, as the Dolphins are able to get it out of the box and trying to clear the zone, cannot. But they will right there as Codicelli launches one out to midfield. Navarro has it for Staten Island. He finds Gonzaga. Gonzaga. Back to Gonzalez. And Gonzalez finds Kushenko. Kushenko sends it into no man's land. There were no Dolphins there. And the Purple Knights have possession back as we take a look down towards midfield, and Bugari Sissoko is getting set to check in, and he will have the goalkeeping duties for the closing minutes of this one. For Omer Hamsasebi, it will bring his 2021 season to an end. A season which saw he and Sissoko split the goalkeeping duties almost down the middle. And Sissoko will jog on in relief of Hamsasebi. So Hamsasebi gets a nice round of applause from the Dolphins supporters in attendance, and as I said, that likely brings his 2021 season to an end. Unfortunately for the Dolphins right now, it is going to take quite a bit to avoid seeing that season end in defeat, as the throw-in finds the foot of Peterson. Peterson stumbles along the near sideline, and it is taken away by Uresti. Uresti trying to work through 3 Dolphins, and that was not a prudent move as Angulo takes it away. Here comes Peterson. Peterson, again, looking for somewhere to go. He finds Navarro. Navarro back to Peterson. Peterson, challenged by 2 Purple Knights, keeps possession for now and is taken down. So he will draw the whistle, and the Dolphins will have a free kick as things continuing to get physical after the whistle between these two teams. Daniel Angulo lined up over the ball for the free kick. Most Dolphins lined up with the far post. Here comes Angulo's free kick, and it's headed away by the Purple Knights. Clark waiting for it to come down. Angulo pressuring him in the corner. No whistle. Or was there? And it looks like there was a whistle against Angulo, who did not allow Clark to land. He set himself up underneath Clark and made it a rough fall for him. That earns the Purple Knights a free kick. Annette sends the free kick out across midfield. Winds up with Gonzalez. Gonzalez sent it up towards Siegel. And that one will continue rolling down towards the corner. and over the touchline. Throw in for the Purple Knights. Bridgeport Soccer has outscored CSI Soccer 7-0 on this day. In the women's match, the Purple Knights took the 4-0 victory. And they are just under 15 minutes away from their second shutout of the day, as Bridgeport now moving into the attacking third. This is Clark. And that one redirected straight toward Uresti. And I'm not sure if it was Sissoko or Salas that was able to block that, but fortunately for the Dolphins, it was blocked, and CSI concedes just a throw-in here, as we will have a substitution. Coming into the game, I'll have to consult the online roster. I'm still not sure where my roster sheet went during halftime, but coming off was Hans Nilsson. And entering the game was Eric Brito. So Brito on and Nilsson off with just over 13 and a half minutes to play in the second half. Dolphins still in search of a goal. They have 3 shots on goal. Still trying to find the back of the net. Here comes Codicelli, and he nearly turned it over, but Angulo was there to back him up. This is Nilton Gonzalez. Now Gonzaga over to Kishenko. Kishenko up to Salas. Salas for Gonzaga. Gonzaga swarmed by 3 Purple Knights, and that ball for Kishenko off target. Throw-in belongs to Bridgeport. Casey will take it following the substitution, or perhaps not, as the substitution will be made here, as it will be Santos Chapa checking into the game, and still looking to see who came off. I believe they said 6, which would be Lazar Rezo.
Into the game for the Dolphins, number 14, Steven Bronco, and number 15, Larry Diggs.
So for the Dolphins, Steven Branco and Larry Diggs check in, and right there it was Felipe Ospina sending that shot nowhere close. Sissoko looking for a ball, and he will find it. With just under 12 minutes to play. Sissoko was named ECC Rookie of the Week earlier in the season. Got, I believe, 1 or 2 starts after that before Hamsasebi resumed regular goalkeeping duties. It was Hamsasebi who began the season as the starting goalkeeper. And down the stretch, it has been Hamsasebi as well. This is Branco along the far sideline. Sends it towards Salas. Salas able to get a foot on it. And once again, a failed cross attempt by the Dolphins. Definitely a chance to get that ball in front, but CSI failing to do so, sending it behind the frame. And that's not the first time that's happened today. Goal kick for the Purple Knights. Sent toward the far sideline, right along the midfield stripe. And it will be a Dolphins throw, as we have a player down once again, this time along the far sideline. think that might be Brito, who just checked in. Whoever it was that was down is back to his feet quickly. Clock is stopped at 10:22. Purple Knights moving back into the attacking third. Dolphins trying to avoid conceding a corner with a clearance, and it looks like they'll be able to do so. And they are awarded a throw-in deep in the corner. For CSI, Patrick Maikut will come on, and Captain Daniel Angulo, who made his return from a 3-game suspension today, will head off for what very well could be the final time this year. And it looks like that will be the case. The Bridgeport captain, Felipe Espina, will come off as well, along with Jesse Clark. Both of them have had a good day, and their team appears to be well on their way to a victory. Dolphins possess it in the midfield. Navarro sends it over to Kishenko. And the Dolphins turn it over as the Purple Knights now move it to their backs. And now it's back with the keeper, Annette. And Annette inexplicably didn't pick the ball up. I'm not sure why he would elect to clear that instead of just picking it up and sending it long the other way, but Dolphins are awarded possession as a result, and we'll look to get something started on the attack. This is Branco. Branco moving in, looks to cross, and he took it over the touchline. Dolphins have had a really tough time getting their crosses off and on target along the touchline. It's just been a really difficult go of it for CSI, especially at this end of the pitch. It seems that problem has been exclusive to the second half, and nothing has changed since half number 2 got underway. I think if there's a recurring theme we've seen from the CSI team all season long, it's been the difficulty they've had finishing. And I know the coaching staff hoped to see that improve throughout the year, and perhaps it did just a little bit, but overall, if they do finish the season with 11 goals, that is not a total that this team and the coaches will be happy with. And Kishenko right there was able to shoulder David Torres off the ball, and the ball then deflected off of Torres and over the touchline. But Dolphins once again not graduating many seniors, only 3 players departing the program. And this team always has had a very large roster. So hopefully, barring any unforeseen setbacks, this team will have a full year to prepare for the upcoming season next year in 2022, and will enter their first season of eligibility for postseason play as strong as ever. As for the University of Bridgeport, they will finish their season strong. And right now, they're only 6.5 minutes away from that shutout I mentioned earlier. Both of these teams came in with a negative goal differential, but the Bridgeport goal differential much closer than the Dolphins. Dolphins are a -18. Purple Knights were a -6. Kishenko to throw in for Staten Island. Salas being pressured in the corner, and Purple Knights concede the corner kick, so Dolphins now get a corner kick opportunity, and I believe this is just their second. Well, the scoreboard reads 2. The official stats reads 3, so we'll say 3, as that one is sent into the box, headed by Kishenko and cleared away by the Purple Knights. That's Uresti for Lewis, and Lewis strong over the ball between 3 Dolphins. As he receives the pass back, looks to turn, has a little bit of space, looking for somewhere to go with it. Sends it back to Uresti, and his shot is saved by Sissoko. And the Dolphins were unable to prevent that ball from traveling over the touchline, so it's going to be a corner. Corner kick number 5 for Bridgeport, as Roberto Echenique will check back in.
Now into the game for the Dolphins, number 18, Brendan McGuire.
Brendan McGuire also comes back on for Staten Island. And joining Echenique will be Juan Magdaleno. So Magdaleno and Echenique come on for the Purple Knights, and McGuire on for Staten Island as that corner kick is sent toward the top of the box. Bicycle kick attempt off of the header, and not enough behind that one as Sissoko makes his second save. Under 4 minutes to play, here comes Kishenko, and his pass toward Maikut is straight over the touchline. This is Lewis again for Echenique. Now Uresti working against Kishenko. Salas attempts a couple of tackles. And Purple Knights will throw in. So for Brenny Salas and Bryant Navarro, these next 3 minutes and 15 seconds will be the last 3:15 of their careers, as both have been integral parts of this Dolphins men's soccer program. And Jamali Peterson was just shown the red card. So Peterson's day is done, as we had a hard sliding tackle attempt by Peterson. And I think the act of the tackle may have appeared to warrant a red, but really no negative outcome, fortunately. But Peterson will walk off, and his season ends with 3:01 remaining in the second half following that red card. Annette to take the free kick for the Purple Knights. 3:01 on the clock when the action resumes. And free kick is sent long. That's Gonzalez who chips it up in the air. And the two teams battle over the ball along the near side. And Gulo cuts off that pass, and now Maikut has it. Maikut for McGuire, and that ball does not get through as it was cleared away by Casey. Here come the Purple Knights again, and the Dolphins are able to send it back into the midfield. So before we wrap up for the season, as the flag is up for offsides, there are a lot of people to thank for making our broadcasts possible. Of course, CSI Sportsnet would not exist without the godfather of Sportsnet, David Pizzuto. Pizzuto no longer a part of CSI Athletics, but still works here on campus, as we have another yellow card issued, and I think it's in the best interests of both of these teams for the final 2:07 to tick off the clock as quickly as possible. But, of course, there'd be no Sportsnet without Dave. I would not be here without Dave, so he always gets a thank you first and foremost at the start of this tour of thank yous to wrap up the season. And we have Joe Masha, our SID contact, who helps me get set up and on the air each and every game. I have to admit I'm not very tech savvy when it comes to our Sportsnet setup, so without Joe I might be a bit lost, and I of course have to thank him as well. And we've had many voices on the call alongside me this season, perhaps more than ever, as I have called games alongside Nick Durst, who will be returning for CSI Dolphins men's basketball on Friday night. Also, John Carl Ziegler making his Sportsnet debut this year, and we hope to have JC back later in the season. He's taking a short break from working games with us for a little while, but we fully expect him to be back at some point during basketball season. And then also making his return to Sportsnet next weekend will be Joe Calabrese. And Nick and I will have the call next Sunday for CSI Dolphins women's basketball. Again, if you're not familiar, the Tournament of Heroes takes place here at the College of Staten Island Friday and Saturday. Men's basketball hosting that event annually. 2020, the first time that we've missed that tournament over the course of many years. 2019 marked the 18th annual Tournament of Heroes. So this year's installment will be our 19th edition of the Tournament of Heroes, and Nick Durst and Joe Calabrese both returning alongside me for that. Of course, we invite you to join us here on campus for that event, and as is the case with all of our events in the fall and in the winter, a negative COVID-19 PCR test or proof of vaccination required for entry onto the College of Staten Island campus. So with 23 seconds on the clock, it appears as if the Dolphins will wrap up the season winless in their last 7. That might even be 8. It's been, for the College of Staten Island, a very long few weeks since their last victory back on October 9th. And today's match makes it 8 straight for CSI without a victory to end the year. For the University of Bridgeport, they pick up the shutout victory 3-0. But once again, thank yous to everyone who makes our broadcasts here on CSI Sportsnet possible. As I know, some of our viewers don't join us across every sport, as the two teams jawing back and forth and several administrators down on the field to make sure nothing comes of that. But again, thank yous to Dave, to Joe Masha, to Joe Calabrese, Nick Durst, and John Carl Ziegler, all of whom have been a part of CSI Sportsnet this year. And we look forward to hearing from perhaps all of them come basketball season beginning on Friday night. So until then, this has been Joe Foreman, and for all of us here at the College of Staten Island, we thank you for watching. And how could I forget to thank our various camera operators throughout the season as well, perhaps the toughest job on the crew, as Jacqueline D'Amico is up on the roof for this game. In our previous game, Sean Fitzpatrick was up on the roof. We had Gabriella Bartley and Juliana Cretella up on the roof for some games. Many different people braving the elements and climbing up the ladder to provide us full coverage of our games here on CSI Sportsnet. But once again, our final score today, 3-0 in favor of the Purple Knights. Our next broadcast will be this Friday night. Men's basketball hosting the Tournament of Heroes. And if you can't attend the games, be sure to join us here on the ECC network and enjoy the rest of your weekend.